Hey, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to quickly jump on here and show everyone what happened since last night's update at 10 p.m. Central Time. Now, last night we warned Japan, North Japan near Hokkaido, for new movement to strike, and look what happened. Dual 4.6s struck, also down here at the Indonesia border, right across Burma. 5.0 downgraded to 4.8. USGS not reporting that 4.8, by the way. In the Midwest United States, just really quick, guys, let's go over that. 3.7 struck at the fracking operations in Oklahoma near the Kansas border, and a swarm of twos broke out across central California going east to the Nevada border. You can see all this. This all happened since last night, and those are the areas, several of the areas, which were warned. So we specifically warned the spot between India and Indonesia, also warned North Japan, and warned the Midwest United States and the eastern portion of California at the Nevada border. Those areas have now been hit. So, and that's just an update from last night. Also, additionally to all that, 3.6, 3.4 struck in Hawaii. That's a noticeable increase in size. And if you go look up the location, if you actually go look at the webcams from the Hawaii Volcano Observatory, it looks like there may be some increased magmatic lavic movement at the surface. So lava flows, some kind of volcanic activity taking place that they're not really talking about on the HVO website yet. But maybe tomorrow we'll see a update on their site telling us that there's new volcanic activity going on. Again, I'm not shocked because multiple threes striking in a spot where you normally see either ones or twos means something's going on with the volcanoes itself, since all the volcanoes on the southern portion of the big island of Hawaii have shown activity recently. What else happened? Additional 5.0 earthquake struck in the Solomon Sea. Again, following deep earthquakes that happened roughly 2 days ago. 5.1 struck, followed by the 6.2. Now a swarm of other upper 5, mid 5.0 earthquakes. That should be no shock. Right now, look at the last 7 days of activity. Check it out. This is a combined of the USGS and EMSC feed. United States, I mean, just look at it. Last 7 days of activity. It goes all the way from the western portion of the Craton to the east coast, striking at all the fracking operations, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. And this is exactly what we warned about last week. So we just have to keep, and every time I'm talking here, every time that you hear a ding and a rumble, there's a new earthquake occurring. Some of them very small, but it appears things are really picking up in pace. Since I've just been down here in the past few minutes, we've seen several earthquakes strike. Let me turn on the USGS last 24 hours of earthquakes. That was the last week. Last 24 is going to show us all the smaller earthquakes in the U.S. And then you'll see the swarm in Southern California that I was talking about last night dying down. Guess what started to occur? It started to pick back up again. Again, this is the last 12 hours. Take a look at it. Right here, last 12. Here's the last 24. Swarm now growing in size again in Southern Cal. And we're watching for a larger earthquake to strike in Southern California in the next few days, most likely in that 5.0 range. I base that upon the fact that there's been over 3,000 earthquakes in this spot in Southern California with no compensation movement large enough to make up for that on either side of the swarm location. So it could be south in Baja California, could be north in Los Angeles over to the Nevada border. But wherever it strikes, it'll strike in Southern California for sure, and it should be in that 5.0 range. Again, a combination of all the zeros and ones together, totaling up that 5.0 earthquake that we'd be looking for in the next few days. That will then cause movement up the coast, movement to the east as well, yet once again. And if you're not familiar with the map here and you don't know what you're looking at, the Midwest United States being struck at the fracking operations. And then once we get just to the west here, see the 3.4 up here? This is actually at the Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone is right here where my mouse is, and to the west of Yellowstone, the magma chamber exists. For Yellowstone, it goes down many kilometers and is about the 11 Grand Canyons in area. So a huge area of magma down below the plate, and it extends far west into Idaho and Montana. Well, earthquake struck there again, a 3.4, and that's on top of the 4s that struck this past week, 4.3, 4.0. What's going on at Yellowstone, right? Well, I can tell you this. My website got flagged down 3 days ago. Out of the blue, I logged in the morning, and there's a note from Google telling me they're going to turn off my Google AdSense on my YouTube page and on my website completely. Turn them off forever. Unless I delete a post that I've got on my website that's objectionable. And the post was a guy last year in this very same spot that we see the earthquake striking now, was out hiking with his dogs. They are from the area, they're used to hiking in the area, and when they get to a certain spot, there's a temperate spring, somewhat cool, somewhat warm, depending on what time of year you're there, and they would normally jump in there, the dogs would, and then they'd go on their way after they cool down. Unfortunately, when the dogs saw the spring, they ran and jumped in like normal, and the water was at least 10 to 20 times hotter than normal. So if it's normally 80 degrees, it was multiple 100 degrees. Okay, so it was boiling hot. And the dogs didn't know this. They ran and jumped in. And of course, the guy heard the dogs as soon as they hit the water, and he goes in to go save them, and he jumped in to save them, and he almost died too. The dogs did die. He got third-degree burns all over his body. And it was normally a temperate hot spring that wouldn't be that hot. Authorities said that it was just because there was a lack of cold water flowing into the stream down the upstream, and that must be what's causing the heating to occur. Okay, now obviously that's not the case. The heating is caused by the rising magma from down below. The pocket of magma most likely rose a little bit too high, and it caused boiling at the surface where we would normally see temperate springs. But so they come, that was last August, a year ago, 10 months ago. All right? Now I've had the story up for 10 months on my website. So I log in 3 days ago, and there's a notice from Google, you got to remove this post, or we're going to shut you down entirely. No dispute, no one to talk to, no button to click, no one to call. Notice on my AdSense account, do this or else. Now what does that mean? Well, obviously something's going on. Something is going on at Yellowstone. And they don't want that, anywhere coming up on a search, I guess. Why else would they take the time to remove it? So something's going on at Yellowstone with the 4s that struck and the 3s that are striking. Somebody needs to pay attention to what's going on at Yellowstone. I'm not shocked because there's other stuff going on at other volcanoes. The swarm down to the south in Southern California. Salton Sea volcanic buttes. It's not a coincidence that Yellowstone's being hit and Salton Sea's being hit and the geothermal operation, the other earthquakes that you see on the map here up to the north. We've got 2 stacks of earthquakes, actually 3. Okay, the stack to the south, or on the right-hand side, is Salton Sea volcanic buttes. The stacks in the middle are at different pumping operations near Coalinga, California. The stack to the north, or on the left-hand side, is happening at the geothermal pumping operations at Clear Lake Volcano and Geyser Peak Volcano in Northern California. Then you get further north, and you have Yellowstone all across Nevada, different volcanoes being struck. At the border of California and Nevada, now we see, let me just look at it. Look how many have been struck. These are all volcanoes being struck here. All the way down south to the 0.8s. So from the 0.8s to the south, all the way up to just south of Lake Tahoe, 1.20s. Again, all striking at volcanoes along the border. Further to the east, Range 61 volcanic buttes, unnamed volcanic buttes. Okay, so something's going on. To the west, the pumping operations as well. So you see the 2.0, 2.1, 1.4, 2.0. Go look them up. You'll find out pumping operations exist at those locations. So there it is. There's your update for the morning. Again, it is now 11:51 a.m. Central Time, and I'm going to have the European and European and USGS feeds turned on for right now. Let's go ahead and turn that down so you can see all the earthquakes. We'll look at the last 48 hours of USGS quakes and the last 50 earthquakes listed by the EMSC. So there you go, guys. I'll be back on, of course. Always have an earthquake plan ready and be prepared. If you're in Southern California, everything I told you about last night is starting to happen today. Same with internationally, in Japan, Central America, North America, all those locations now being struck. Didn't even get into Europe. Okay, you know what? Let's just do that really quick. Since the update last night, you can see not much has changed in Europe. The cluster to the south, I said the reset button had been hit in South Europe, and we needed to watch again in South Europe for additional earthquake activity to build up into that 4.0 range. Well, take a look at it. What do we have largest so far? 3.5, 3.1, 3.1, and where did they occur? Western Turkey, again, right near the ocean or near the Mediterranean Sea. And that will creep up into the 4s in the next day. No doubt about it, pressure coming from the West Pacific transferring over to the west. And yeah, that's it, guys. So see you in a few. Much love.